Hey, this is Jann Karam. I'm at the Comedy and Magic Club, and this is another episode of Behind the Punchline. What was my first joke, and how did the audience react? My first joke, I'm from Arizona, right? So I used to go up on stage, and my first line was, hey, I'm a city girl. I'm from the city. I'm from Globe. And then everybody knew that Globe is a small town in Arizona. So that always got a laugh. What's a comedy special or a movie that inspired me to be a comedian, to do this career? I think it was a combination of a lot of different things. Growing up and watching The Tonight Show and The Carol Burnett Show and Jonathan Winters, and lots of comedies all the time. Every time my parents, before they go to bed, they say we have to watch a comedy. So that was our ritual. And then my dad used to tell jokes. He'd give speeches and he'd tell jokes. So then I think I learned from that. And then I went to New York and I saw stand-up comedy for the first time when I was 19. Then I came back to Arizona and I started doing stand-up. How do I come up with new material for my act? I live life. I think of funny ideas. I watch how people behave, or I experience things that really aggravate me or don't seem right or that seem absurd or insane, and I try to make sense out of it. So I write down stuff about that and try to make it funny so I don't go crazy. Otherwise I'll go crazy. What's the best piece of advice I ever received in my career? Just one, because there are lots of advices. I've got a lot of advice. Do your act. Right. Keep writing. Keep writing. Be specific. Be clear. Jerry Seinfeld told me, if a joke doesn't work, check the setup. Jerry Seinfeld said, if a joke doesn't work, check the setup. I'm like, but wait, what about the punchline? So it's punchline and setup. But I remember that. I've just gotten a lot of advice. Do I prefer performing in large arenas or smaller, intimate venues? I like both. I love intimate venues. I love intimate venues because of the intimacy. And I love to be able to work out stuff in those intimate venues that maybe you can't do in a large venue, because you better like come out of the gate, hit it hard, come out of the gate running. Is that how it goes? So I really like both. It's so fun to kind of, if you can, kill in front of 2,000 people or something like that. But it's also so intimate and so fun to be in front of a small crowd where you could play and try stuff and get into the mindset with them and work on material and develop it for the bigger arenas. The funniest person I've ever met is Dana Carvey. And why? Because he's hilarious, and he's imaginative and creative, and he's fun, and I open for him. So I feel like he is in my mindset. We share the same kind of mindset of just being able to be playful, creative, and improvisational. And that's the kind of comedy that I like to do. So he's hilarious. I could just sit there and listen to him riff on something forever. What's my favorite comedy special of all time? I haven't watched a ton of comedy specials, but I did like Richard Pryor's comedy special that I saw a long time ago. I think it was called Live on Sunset. Excuse me if I'm wrong. I loved, and I'm talking about Dana Carvey again, but I loved his comedy special. Critics' Choice was perfection. And I love Elaine Boozler's comedy special. She had a lot of comedy specials, I think, but she's somebody I've always loved, and she's such a great joke writer. Can I share a funny behind-the-scenes story of a television show that I worked on? Yes, I can. So I was shooting Seinfeld, and then the assistant to the head hair person said, she kind of looks like Julia with her hair like that. You shouldn't make it curly. And then the head hair person said, she looks nothing like Julia. And then they had my hair up, you know, kind of like how Julia would wear it. And then Julia walks in and she said, oh, and then she walked out, and the next thing Larry David comes in and says, oh yeah, you do kind of look like Julia. Could you change her hair? And so the head hair woman was like, with egg on her face, right? And she's like, what? Like what? She takes a brush, and she had sprayed hairspray in it. It was all sticky, and she starts brushing through my hair. It's not funny, right? But, and then she's like this? Like how? And she puts it in the middle, and he's like, there's other hairstyles that don't look like Julia that are attractive. Can you think of something else? And so she just like ripped through my hair. It wasn't funny, but kind of looking back. But then when I told Jerry later, he says, how's everything? When we were shooting our scene, it was the episode The Switch on Seinfeld. He said, how's everything? I said, it's okay. So that the hair person kind of got upset. He says, you know, we go through so many different hair people. They're kind of like hair. They're hard to manage. They need conditioning. So that was funny. How important is it for comedians to stay true to their authenticity? So I think it's the only thing is to be authentic. And I think it sort of takes a lifetime, right? To kind of figure out and continue and to work on your authenticity. That's what's so fun about it, is because we just keep growing. And when I first started doing stand-up when I was 19, I said I was taking theater, right, in college. And I wasn't getting cast in anything. And I was like, I don't even really want to be in that play anyway. What am I doing? And then I said that I decided that I wanted to be a comedian because I can find my own authenticity. So I can be authentic, and I could learn to articulate, and I can also face fears of like speaking in front of people. I really wanted to grow and find my authenticity. So I'm glad you asked that question because it really rarely comes up about being authentic. What advice would I give to new comedians just starting out in the industry? Well, I would just say you got to stick to it and just get up as much as you can. Just get up, perform. I mean, when I was getting ready to do a dry bar special recently, I even did those open mics, like where you sign up at those slotted whatever and you pay to. I did like 15-minute sets, 10-minute in front of 5 people. It didn't matter. You just have to just go up, and it's not going to be the ideal circumstance. Just the mic in your hand, saying the words on stage, and practicing the timing, the rhythm, and all that, because it's really precise, you know. So I would just say you got to get up as much as you can and write. Didn't I say that earlier? You got to write, pen in hand, or fingers on the keyboard. What's the weirdest place I've ever performed comedy? It was in Chicago, and it was in this, I think it was Elgin, this town, and it was, oh, you got a gig. And it were these 2 guys, Steve and Leo. And I had just moved to Chicago from Arizona on my way to New York. And it was down this weird road in the middle of nowhere. Did I say Elgin? And so while I was on stage, next door in a room at this facility, whatever, it's like a bar or something, there was construction going on. There was hammering and drilling while I was doing my set. And by the way, there wasn't anybody in the audience, maybe 4 people. I think I got paid though. And so then when Steve and Leo went up, and then they were imitating this, they were after me. They said, this is our impression of Jann on stage. And then they go, whoop, 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 boom, 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 boom. And they were doing sounds of like hammers and drills and stuff. And it was weird and funny. How long have I been performing at the Comedy and Magic Club? Since the 80s. I was very young, and I had just moved here from New York, and I think I auditioned. Somehow I got a spot here. I don't know if my agent or I can't remember, but I was so excited, and I used to work here all the time, and that's when they had 3 comics, right? Like the headliner, middle, and an opener. And so that was just really, always been a great club, and I've been working here ever since, off and on, right? But tonight I'm here with Jay Leno.
Is it first time you open for Jay here?
this is the first night I've opened for Jay, and I've been wanting to open for him for so long, be his opening act. So yes, tonight's the first night.
And how are you feeling?
How am I feeling? I feel good. It was a great set. It was a lot of fun, and his audiences are fantastic. So it was like kind of like doing a TV set. You got to be tight and hit it hard, you know, don't mess around. But his audiences, they were warm and receptive, and I had a really good, I got applause, applause break. Thank you, Comedy and Magic, and if it weren't for Mike, I wouldn't be here.